Hi guys, Zagayate here, and this is going to be my ranking of the Courage the Cowardly Dog Season 1. And for the ranking, we're going to do Scary Good, Alarmingly Enjoyable, Bizarrely Fun, Courage Deserves Better, Dreadfully Disappointing, the Cats Motel. Even though this episode was kind of confusing with the fact that I don't see a connection between spiders and cats, and I also kind of think Muriel and Eustace were kind of butt plugs because they weren't allowed to bring Courage in with them, but instead of going somewhere else, they tied him right outside. Cats is he's a memorable character. He's designed to look like a devil, and he's got this theme music. It's like if you were a rogue assassin in a speakeasy and you were obsessed with a coin, that's the kind of theme music you would have. Cajun Granny Stew. And I'm going to be honest, might actually be my favorite episode in Season 1. Not because it's the best as far as like Courage the Cowardly Dog is normally known for, like surreal horror and utter undeniable sweetness, because you underestimated just how accurate Don't Judge a Book by the Cover is. This one is just cartoony fun. It's a fox and Courage playing Looney Tunes against each other. There's even a detour sign. The Shadow of Courage it's good, but the thing is, the one character that stands out more is the Shadow. Like, he's literally what makes it this episode. He has an actual progression. He starts off unhappy shadow of a rich man, and then he ends up a shadow to the stars. It's a bizarrely fun episode. So Dr. Quack is a duck that's a con artist. But it makes me laugh because it starts off showing you just how bad Eustace can be. Like, the very worst you can imagine for Eustace is in this episode. Outside of, the physical abuse to Courage. Miriam gets hit on the head. She gets amnesia. He tells her she's a slave woman and she hates the dog. And then a con artist comes, and it's the ending too that's pretty cool, because it's like a thriller type setting where it shows the police car in a ditch and him coming out, walking away in a police uniform. So it's kind of like, did he Michael Myers that police officer? Is there a body going to be found? So yeah, it goes in bizarrely fun. Courage meets Bigfoot. Word out is for Courage, and he finds Bigfoot. They have a food fight. And just as is the law for any time one dude attacks another dude, they're friends. They become friends afterwards, and a mob comes, and then they turn on Eustace because, Bigfoot he's a sweetheart. It's kind of slow, so it's going to go Courage Deserves Better. Hothead is different in that this is one of the few ones where the animation, to me, kind of like takes over. Like, Courage always has real good animation, but this one, it sticks out because the detail on this man's head before he explodes, and the tension with knowing that those are signs that he's about to explode, it adds up. And it's fun to watch Courage try to like calm him down, like, hey, I'm rubbing your feet, I'm bringing you something to eat, and then give up and just say, you know what, I just need to get Miriam out of the room. That's it, that's all that matters. So this is going to go bizarrely fun too. Aside from possibly Scary Movie 2, this could be the best parody of The Exorcist, Demon Mattress, because it's got the classics, head turning around, but it goes all the way and it falls off. But it doesn't do much more than the classic. It just does what you want. But then it's also nice to see Eustace actually caring for Miriam. He's still a chicken, and he would rather Courage do it, but he does put himself out there to save Miriam, and then he gets scared, comes back, and he's still trying to save Miriam. So it gets alarmingly enjoyable. Freaky Fred. The Fred that talks about how naughty he is, and you're waiting the whole time for something terrible to happen, and it's just a lot of people get shaved. And that's all it is. It's surreal, funny tension. And he just likes to shave. He shaved our hamster. He shaved his crush. This cowboy was just a few layers short of Cousin It. Yeah, it's tension, but nothing happens. It's just kind of like this surreal humor that I really loved. There's a lot of things I've always wondered if there was like a were version of it, like a were bunny, a were owl, a were fox. Were moles was never one of it, and that's a shame because the design for Miriam after she gets bit is really well done. I mean, she looks crazy. But my favorite part is that Courage kidnapped the doctor. He didn't want to see her. Courage literally grabs him and then carries him all the way home. Doctor gets attacked, disappeared, and then comes out at the end and attacks Eustace. Good. It's just, I'll forget about it. Mother's Day has very low stakes. Eustace goes to see his mom, and his mom's bad because Miriam, who's a sweetheart, who is just gentle and loving, says, no, I'm not going to go see that woman. So it's kind of funny to see Eustace being picked on by his mom, but then you see Courage is tense because he knows that he's going to get it later. And then it all comes down at the end where they find out that the mom's bald, and they're just happy together. I wouldn't have given that woman a second chance. So this one is Courage Deserves Better. The Duck Brothers is one of, but not my favorite, don't judge a book by its cover stories in this season. Because at first you think the Ducks are evil because they took control of Miriam and were using her to do something, and then you find out they just wanted to save the third brother, and so it's like, oh, they're good guys. But what I really like, but there's this one duck who's always laying eggs, and the other duck's like, stop it, it's not natural. At the end they all lay eggs, and he's like, you know what, don't shame us, don't control us, be you, man, be you. So this is a scary good too. And another one character that I like is Shirley the medium. She has this so much attitude to her. In one scene she's told that Eustace screwed up, and she's like, the stupid one did what I told him not to do. And they're like, yeah. So she went, saved him with a very quick moment, grabbed the dollar bill and said, out, peace. I don't know, she was just likable. Maybe it was her design. The famous King Ramses curse. Don't hit me, but I think this might have been overhyped, or maybe it's just all the hype around it, because as fun as seeing the curses and that creepy 3D image were, this episode didn't stand out too much. Although I am curious what's gonna happen now that Eustace is one of the curses. Like, he's on the slab. Can you imagine Eustace coming out? Give him back his slab. No, I said give him back his slab. Your punishment if you don't give him the slab is you're gonna be with me. And there's no space in there. And it's memorable, but it's too hyped. I did like it, but it's just kinda, it falls in with the others. It's good, but it's not amazing. The clutching foot is probably the grossest episode in this season. I don't know if it gets worse, so I'm not gonna say it's the grossest episode in the show. But it's pretty nasty because Eustace gets covered by a foot, and then the foot takes Miriam hostage. And at the end, the only way to save Eustace, and by extension Miriam, is Courage licks that foot. It's only weak to dog spit, so he licks it all over. And then his tongue gets infected. So yeah, that's dedication. I would have found a new owner. I would have been like, you know what, Miriam? Thank you for the good times. Thank you for, being such a wonderful sweetheart. But that man's fungus is alive, and I don't want to taste it. The Hunchback of Nowhere is basically just like when Courage finds Bigfoot, but cuter. So it's cute enough to go here and bizarrely fun. Plus, I like the fact that Miriam kind of... She has this one scene where to me, she stole the show because, yeah, Courage is abused, but he's a good guy. But Miriam, she just accepts. She's like, oh, well, he's Courage's friend. You can come in. And she also would have accepted with Bigfoot, too. But I don't know. For some reason, this stuck out more. But, yeah, it's sweet. And I also like the fact that the Hunchback is used to people picking on him. But do not pick on his friends because he will scare you. He will stand up to you if you're picking on his friends. So, yeah, it's a sweet episode. This might actually be my favorite, don't judge a book by the cover episode in this show, but it's bizarrely fun. I'm gonna be honest, the gods must be Goosey kind of annoyed me at first, just because the goose kept saying Goosey this and Goosey that. Oh, my Goosey heart. Maybe it's because I'm older, but the fact that he likes Miriam just because she's thick, and Courage actually growls at him, not angrily, not scared, but just he's like, no, better stay away. I kind of like it a little bit now. It's not the best, but it's passable. So yeah, I'm going to put in bizarrely fun. The Queen of the Black Puddle could go here or here. Here or here. Here, because at the beginning half, it's just Eustace seeing the visions of a woman. And let's face it, nobody cares about Eustace. But at the second half, when Eustace is gone and Miriam just starts crying, and Courage will literally rip the skies asunder to make her happy, and he goes into this puddle world and he gets chased by this demon monster. It's great. But the best part in this episode is when he's going up towards the light to escape, and you just see it shrink, and then disappear, and you're like, well, he's dead. How's he gonna get out of this? Of course, it wasn't a long time to spend, in suspense, because it's only a 15-minute episode, so he saw a way out real quickly, and he got out through Miriam's tears. So, I mean, that was pretty cool. The ending was, I guess the ending was just kind of lame, where Courage meets a black puddle lady for himself, and it's just kind of like, I don't know. I think this one's going to go with bizarrely fun, too. It's just going to go right here in the middle with the other ones. Everyone Wants to Direct is one of these episodes that I think it's just... the fact that there's so many great pieces and it doesn't blow my mind, just kind of like sinks it all the way to the bottom. Because you got a character that's supposed to be a stand-in for Quentin Tarantino. You have zombies. You have the planets aligning. And you have Courage the Cowardly Dog. And it's anything less than an A is an F. Or in this case, a D. So yeah, that's my favorite episode. And got its moment, like tricks him with the script. Zombies should always be cooler than that. The Snowman comet is surreal. And it's not surreal because it's an Iceman who is dying from global warming and he laments about all his Iceman people that are gone. It's weird because the Iceman is based on Sean Connery. He's based on Sean Connery and they defeat him by freezing him. He's happy about that because it means he's got another layer to survive. But I don't know what Icemen eat. And if he's trapped in there, yeah, he might be able to do without oxygen, but he's gonna starve. He's gonna be a skinny icicle. So you ever wonder what would happen if Eustace got a pet that was obsessed with him and would literally murder Miriam just to get his attention? Yeah, that's this little duckling right here. Precious, wonderful, something lovable duckling. And it's going to go up here just because it starts out with a jealous duck and it ends with Eustace and the duckling on the moon. And the duckling is happy because he's giving Eustace a foot rub. Eustace seems happy, but he's going to figure out he shouldn't be happy for long. Heads of Beef was one that I didn't originally like just because I thought it was kind of boring. After seeing it a few more times, I do like it. It's because Eustace wins, and it's just so weird for Eustace to win in a Courage the Cowardly Dog episode. It goes right to where it's bizarre for bizarre sake, so Eustace is going to win because it's not the rules. Courage, he freaks out because he thinks that people are being eaten. And after Eustace won't listen to him, he just takes off running, and you just see Eustace in the basement looking at meat sculptures, and he's happy. Also, Eustace isn't as terrible as he thought he was. I knew he was awful, but he's not. He's somebody who will buy his dog a hamburger. It'll be the smallest one, but he will feed Miriam's dog, probably because if Miriam finds out that he wasn't feeding Courage, she'd bonk him on the head. Club Cats. Okay, so this one goes up here because I'm going to remember it. It wasn't so much that it was every little detail, impressed me and the imagery was great or the humor was good too. But it's a child's version of one of the most horrific, mind-numbing, horrifying book I've ever read, and that's The Eye of Dr. Moreau. It made it kiddie fun, and plus Kitty Cats is back too. So yeah, it was a good episode. Just I never would have thought of putting the Island of Dr. Monroe in a kid show. It's kind of insane, but in a brilliant way. Okay, so I'm gonna be honest with the Revenge of the Chicken from Outer Space. There's one scene where Courage is shown a slideshow of what that chicken is doing there, and it turns out Courage blasted the chicken, cooked it, and now the chicken wants Courage's head. And I thought, okay, the joke is Courage goes through so much crazy stuff, he just doesn't remember, because he didn't remember that chicken. It turns out, no, there was a pilot, and the pilot is where Courage meets the chicken. But what makes this episode stand out is it's got some dark imagery. There's a lot of decapitation. Well, not a lot of decapitation, but there's a lot of mentions of decapitation. There's a plunger that they put on people's head and the machine just goes up and down, and you hear that sucking noise and you're like, oh, that's gonna just pop right off. And the chicken does take Eustace's head, and then after the chicken's beat, you see Eustace's body come back without a head. So yeah, that's kind of dark, man. Journey to the Center of Nowhere goes here where Courage deserves better, just because it was a weird episode, but it didn't feel like it went all the way. The only time where I was actually, I don't want to say laughing, but I smiled was when the eggplants who were waiting to launch a war against Miriam because she eats a lot of eggplants was when they sprouted, and she's like, oh, I can't kill them now. And so she enters them in a contest, and they won most likely to survive. That's the kind of episode this is. And it's got its good parts, but it's just, I don't know, it was too surreal. Like, they could have focused it better. I don't know, it was weird. Little Miriam goes over here because Little Miriam was a little monster. There were literally people jumping out of a plane to get away from her. Courage threw her out of a plane into a tornado, and at first you think, okay, well, he's going to feel a little bad. No, he just wanted old Miriam back. He tossed her. I think that if he could have gotten his hands on a catapult and just avoided the airplane trip altogether, he would have done it. He just didn't want to deal with Miriam. The Great Fusilli goes down here because it's really only the ending that I remember that stood out. The rest of it was okay. The guy who voiced the Great Fusilli is pretty good. He's one of the few times where it's like, okay, that voice stands out. And the ending is everybody gets turned into puppets or mannequins, and Courage can't change them back. He just goes home and he puppeteers them. He basically lives his life from then on in the fantasy world. That was my ranking for Courage the Cowardly Dog Season 1. What do you guys think? What do you think would be your best episodes and your worst episodes? Or as for next time, I'm going to do a different show. I'm probably going to do a different Season 1 for different shows. Unless if this gets 100 likes, I'll do episode 2. Season 2. Anyways, this is Saga Yote signing off. You guys have a good one. Bye.